Your manager has no time left to develop you. And it is not carelessness. It's just because in the past, you were supposed to have six, maybe seven people working to them. And now they have 12, 15, or maybe more. Yes, we have been we're walking through many years of cutting middle management layers. At least for the last 3 years, we've seen many different movements in different industries and companies where middle managers are seeing a big transformation in their work, and a lot of layoffs are connected to this kind of position. And of course, the survivors, the ones who stay in the company, they now have much bigger teams. The logic here is quite simple. We have AI doing a lot of things, supporting with schedules, summarizing reviews, even tracking deadlines, tracking some of the projects being executed. And it was an obvious movement that the managers starting to have more and more responsibilities with that. And the ones who are surviving are exactly the ones who know how to balance the AI possibilities that are coming, what can be automated, what can be transformed, and what is the core of being a good manager, a good leader that must be kept, and they should do it even better. According to a research from Fortune, now from the beginning of 2026, the average American manager today has at least 12 direct reports. And that number almost double since they start measuring that. And it's based on the Bureau of Labor statistic data. So it's a big change on how much people in average and a manager is going to have reporting to them. And if you see some of those big tech companies, for example, at Meta, the average number of employees per manager is around 50. So it's a lot of people. That is about twice what it was on seeing as the limit of a good working structure. But of course, we see some problems coming of that. According to a research from Gartner, 75% of HR leaders see that managers are already overloaded. At least 69, almost 70%, say that managers do not have the skills to lead what is needed in this moment of change. Managers are having more direct reports at the same time that different things are being requested from them. And those people are the ones suffering the most with those transformations. Of course, people are being laid off, people are losing their jobs. But those who stay in the company, they don't stay in a good situation. They are stressed, they have more work, and they have more responsibility for a lot of more people working with them. And those people are also afraid about new layoffs, about new changes. So it's a lot in the plate of those managers who are surviving this big transformation. And actually, the companies are admitting it. One in three HR leaders say that AI, restructure, and all those layoffs is taking away institutional knowledge and doing a lot of transformation the way work without any kind of preparation. So companies admit that things are moving too fast. The market it's already reacting, but we don't see something actually be taking in terms of a reaction to go over or go against the transformation, because this is just what happened. It happened when we start working with electricity. It happens on the industrial revolution. It happens in every kind of technology adoption. And now with AI, of course, we are going to walk into a very strong storming cycle before we understand how to work better with that. But I want to actually call attention for something very strong here on AI adoption and leadership stress. Basically, the story here is not about headcount. It is about actually which part of the work the machine, the technology is taking. We have interesting research from MIT from a guy called Neil Thompson with an economist called David Alper, and they tested 40 different AI models across thousands of real work tasks. And what they see or they classify is basically tasks that are being automated that are more like administrative or side or things that run on the side of your expected things to do, and tasks that are the core of the business being replaced by AI. So, of course, if you replace the administrative task, in theory, you should give more time to the expert, to the people to work on the core of the business. And since they are working more on the core of the business, they are producing more. They don't need to spend time with the administrative tasks, and therefore the pay tend to rise. But many industries like software development, for example, we are seeing that the core of the business, the core of the knowledge, which is creating software, for example, is being replaced by AI. So the question is never, is AI coming to your job? The question is, which part of your job is at risk to be replaced right now? Is it the administrative tasks, something that maybe you should be taking the lead to automate to make it faster? Or is it the core of what you do? And therefore, you should be thinking how you can be or you can change, how you can be different in terms of this big transformation. Because this is not waiting, this is already happening. And if you look if you connect all the topics together, the manager with more people to work with, the bigger teams, and this big transformation in terms of AI, a boss with 12 people or more, they are not going to have the same time they had before to develop you. And if you are not in a management position, this is exactly the time where you should not be waiting, not be like expecting someone to tell you what you should do. Your manager is not going to have time anymore, as you see, according to the research, to give you mentoring, to give this strong connection and advice. And therefore, you have a strong responsibility again for your career, which was always yours, right? If you are a manager, if you are sitting in a management position, of course, mentoring, developing people will not you're not going to have the time that you had before. So if you want to make this a priority, you need to make sure that your agenda is showing that your agenda is prepared to develop your team, to develop the people working with you. Because if you don't prioritize that, the company will keep rushing and putting more things on you, and therefore that will never be a priority in your team. And as I just said, if you are not in a management position, don't wait, because look what happened recently with all those transformations. Things are just moving and no one is taking you by the hand and telling you, you should be focusing on this, you should be learning that. It's your responsibility, then. It's my responsibility. It's our responsibility to know how our areas, how what we do is being transformed. And of course, AI is not deciding in the end if your job is going to survive or not, but it is deciding, of course, which things are moving faster and which things are moving slower. And if one of those things moving faster is the core of what you do, you should be paying a lot of attention. Okay. And finally, I want to bring you a question here that is for your reflection. Feel free to bring in the comments or at least think about that in your next walk, in your next reflection time. On everything that you see right now that AI is already doing at your work, in your job, is that connected to the administrative tasks on what you do? And therefore, maybe you are going to have some free time to use in the right things in the core of the business? Or do you already feel that there is a technology, there is AI taking the core of what you do and maybe replacing something that is your most impressive skill? If that is happening, I don't want you to be afraid. I want to leave this conversation concerned about that. But I want you to at least try to understand, because maybe there is already in front of you the answer for that concern, for that big question about what you should do. And that thing in front of you is exactly those skills that you had in connection to what you already do right now. Maybe the way you connect with people, maybe the way that you communicate. If you are a software developer that I just said, maybe it is the way that you connect solutions with the technical expertise, because it's still, if you're engineer, for example, software engineer, your role was never the most important thing was never the coding itself. It was to provide solutions to the business, right? Coding was just the way you make it happen. If coding faster and you feel that this is the core of what you do, maybe you can even reflect that you are just being reshaped, and your main skill now is not to put all your effort on coding. Maybe coding is now solved, but maybe the engineering, the solution to transform ideas, the right ones, into solutions are even more important to get your input, your insight, and it's your responsibility, the core of what you do.